Don't let her sleep. Written and narrated by Lady Spookaria. I own a mirror that was my grandmother's. When she passed away, it was one of the possessions she gave to me to have in her will, and told me she wanted me to keep it. To pass it on to my daughter or to my granddaughter, despite the fact I wasn't sure I wanted children. I didn't want to tell her this though. I vaguely remember how she told me how it came to be in her family. One of the few family heirlooms from when my family were wealthy that were not sold on. From what I do remember, the family had a large estate and were low-ranking nobility. She told me they fell on hard times, and I wish I had have listened. There are so many details missing. I don't know why they fell on hard times. My grandmother would talk about it and mention something about having questionable relics from the bad times. My family was certainly no saints. I wish that I paid attention when she tried to teach me more about the mirror and what it actually was. I was more focused on my video game to listen to the full story. And maybe, just maybe, things would have gone differently had I have done so. My grandmother had her own home, but then she came to live with us. She would sleep in the room that became mine when she passed. It felt strange being in there at first. I felt like I was intruding on someone else's space. I never felt threatened or unwelcome, just, it wasn't mine. When I was sick she would come. I'm sure she would sit on the side of my bed beside me and comfort me. I felt so safe and happy in that room. Nothing lasts forever, and whatever was left of her began to fade away. I don't know whether she was moving on, or if something else happened. Over time, the decorations changed to fit my style, and overall, it is nowhere as tidy as it was when the room was hers. She took a lot of pride in her room. She was extremely house-proud, and ensured everything was clean and tidy. Me? I've never been that way inclined. The mirror was 1.5 meters tall and in portrait style. The edges were curved, and I could never work out what it was made of. Whenever I had guests over, they would compliment it, ask where it came from, and some people said they felt happy in front of it. While other people would say that the mirror would freak them out, that they didn't like looking into it for too long. For me, it was normal. Without it, my room simply wouldn't have been my room anymore. It matched the vanity mirror that faced away from my bed, but this mirror did. I was determined never to part with it. It was one of the few material items I kept from my grandmother. It had a lot of sentimental value to me, and I liked it. Every day, I would brush my hair in front of the mirror, and I would imagine my grandmother being there with me, still. Occasionally talking to me, and it was nice to have the memory. I don't know what caused the change. I lived my life in front of that mirror, and did all the usual things in front of it with no issues. Years passed. I grew and changed. My room didn't have toys or dolls like it used to. Things always change when you grow. The night things started was just like any other night. I was in bed on my laptop catching up with friends and watching YouTube videos. We liked to watch videos together and joke about whatever we would see. We'd all have our webcams on so we could see the reactions in real time. It was so simple, and some of the best things in life are. After several hours, and admittedly, when I would stay out way too late, I would go to sleep. I wasn't the first or the last one. The last night I remember things being good was when 2 of my friends who were dating were the last ones up. I didn't want to be the third wheel, so I decided to rest and give them some privacy. It was getting late and I signed off Discord. I closed my laptop, placed it on my bedside table, and made sure I had everything I needed there. I had a glass of water, my glasses, a lamp, and 2 framed photographs, one of my family and another of my friends. I was moisturized, relaxed, and ready to sleep. I let out a groan, stretched to reach my light. I rolled onto my side, hugged my pillow, and sighed happily as I began to drift off to sleep. I got that light feeling you get before you sleep. I love sleep. I would spend all day in bed if I was able to do so. My bed was the most comfortable place in the world, a place I used to feel so safe. My dreams were normally relaxing or exciting, with only an occasional nightmare to disturb my sleep. I don't know why things changed. I thought I heard whispering coming from my door and figured my parents were talking outside. I couldn't make out the words at first. I grumbled to myself when I began to understand.
We can't let us sleep. Need to wake up. Don't let us sleep.
Don't let her sleep. Don't let her sleep.
Need to wake up. Can't let us sleep. She's out.
It was strange. What the hell were they talking about? I blinked, sat up, and called out to my parents. They didn't answer me. It also didn't sound like them. So, who else could it have been? There was no one else at home. The whispering came to an immediate stop. I looked around the room. My eyes were drawn to the mirror. My grandmother's mirror. There was nothing obviously different about it or about the room. But it felt strange. And ever so chill in the air. You know, that feeling when you can sense eyes on you, but you can't see who is looking at you. That was the feeling I had. I figured I stayed up too late, and now my head was beginning to mess with me. I went to sleep, and for the first time, I didn't dream at all. It was a void. No dreams. No nightmares. No hope. It was all gone. Just nothing. This went on for months. Silent nights with the faintest of whispers. My room that had once been a refuge had become a prison. Yet one I was frightened to leave. I didn't want to go outside at all anymore. Whenever I tried to step outside the front door, I would feel as though I was dying. My heart would race. I would feel faint. And I could hear nothing but screaming. Loud, frightened screaming. And whenever I closed the door, the whispers would return, followed by malicious laughter. I didn't sleep properly. Every sound would disturb me, and I found myself becoming drained without the rest of sleep to heal my body, soothe my mind, or escape the pressure of my day-to-day. I sat on my bed with my laptop and slouched over. It became where I would spend most of my time. No longer part of my nightly routine. I was stuck. No words came out when people asked to help me. I didn't know how they could help. My energy completely drained, and I groggily spoke to my friends. Each of them vibrant and doing well in life, while mine was slowly slipping around me. I felt guilty for feeling this way. They all offered help and tried to pull me out of whatever this was. I didn't feel like I could control my body or my mind. I felt so guilty. I told them I was tired and would try to get an early night. I hated seeing the concern on their faces and bringing the mood down. They told me good night and told me to get some rest. I wanted to tell them that I would, yet I could not promise that. Every time I felt as though I was lying to them. I placed the laptop on the ground beside some dirty clothes and curled up to sleep. I used to get that sense of peace and tranquility. Instead, I now had an empty feeling of dread and wondered when something would happen. I waited and soon exhaustion took hold. My eyelids became heavy.
She thought she could.
I shot up. Again. Silence. Some nights were worse than others. I groaned and held my head in my hands, frustrated. I stood up and looked at the dark circles under my eyes when I looked into the mirror. Why can't I sleep? I groaned. My cheeks became hollow. Slowly and surely I was losing my appetite. And my parents were concerned for me too. They kept asking what they could do to help. I didn't know what to say. I didn't have the energy to reassure anyone anymore. The whispers were always free to remind me of who I was and what I lost.
You know, they're all laughing at you. They think you're faking. That's it, we're hurting us. Yes, they're all laughing at you. They think you're faking it. That's it, we're hurting us. Yes, keep it down. She thought she's house now. We need her.
I looked around. These words, the taunts, had become normal. I was still confused. Again, I tried to brush it off. I figured it was late, and I hadn't been sleeping, so my mind was playing tricks on me. I went into the kitchen to get a glass of water. The whispers, where I ended up calling them, became a common feature. Their vindictiveness was always aimed towards me, never to anyone else. It's sad how I became so used to it. I tried to drown the voices out, the whispers. I couldn't concentrate on anything. But I tried. Oh, how I tried. I tried spending time with friends, as much as I was able to, watching TV, working, anything and everything to drown them out. I hated being inside my room. I started sleeping on the couch whenever I could. I avoided that place so much. But when I tried to sleep on the couch or elsewhere, I would be told to go into my room, my bed, to sleep. Reluctantly, I would go and lay my head down, all in hopes of finding rest at last. It never took long for the whispering to start.
She could escape. She thought she could escape. She We are breaking her.
I covered my ears with my pillows, trying to keep the voices out of my head. And no matter how hard I tried, they persisted. They wouldn't stop. Even when I finally managed to get to sleep, they would keep whispering. This time, they looked like shadow humanoid shapes that would lurk in the corners of rooms. Whenever I tried to call out to them or see them, they would disappear. Why? Occasionally I'd hear a malicious giggle. I'd wake up again. The months that had passed all blurred together in a jumbled mess. Time no longer existed. I began to stop being invited out to things. My messages from my friends became fewer, and I rarely saw my family. I was cut off from the world. I wanted to reach out. I wanted to so badly. Their faces were featureless. My world of color soon turned into a world filled with bland colors. No spark. No passion. Nothing. The only place I was happy was when I was in front of the mirror. My fingers would rest on it while I gazed into it for hours, always avoiding my reflection to hide from what I had become. My company now were the shadows and the mirror. None of my old interests filled me with joy. I couldn't eat. Water no longer touched my lips. I took my final breath, and the last thing I heard was, and now, I watch from the mirror. I am not alone in here. Am I? Am this? I hope you enjoyed this story, and let me know in the comments section down below. Feel free to check out my previous narration here. This video was made with the support of my incredible channel members, Patreons, and top tippers. All support is greatly appreciated. Consider signing up and checking out my Throne account if you want to support me. Don't forget to check out my social media links down below. Stay safe, my little spooklings. And remember, I'll be watching you.